Okay. Can we see my screen?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. For those of us that are just joining us, though, okay, let me just do a brief introduction again. Okay. Uh, like I said, we have said, or like I said before, we're talking about choosing a career in IT. Okay. But first of all, what we first of all know before choosing a career in IT is simply we're supposed to first of all understand what IT is. Okay. So, and we're talking about IT or we're talking about tech. We simply mean information technology because information technology is just the main word that we often use the tech or IT to represent in a short time. Okay. Then I said the meeting today will be divided into two sections, as you can see on my screen. That will have the first session, which is the information technology, where we'll discuss actually the main reason for this meeting. Okay, we're going to see what IT is, the benefits of IT, and how you can choose a career path in IT, as well as what is required of you to work in the IT industry. Okay. Then the second session, we're going to look at several careers in IT. Okay. Now, like I said before, that these are just few of them that I tend to talk about today. Okay, but we will go into talking about the careers in IT. They are actually very, very numerous. Okay. So now, hope we all are still seeing my screen. Hello?
No, I think someone.
Hello?
Yeah, just.
Units.
So, like I said, we'll start from information technology, talking about information technology, which is, like I said before, short form IT. Now, it's a study or use of system, especially the computer or telecommunication, and telecommunication rather. So when we mean telecommunication here, we're talking about other computing devices because when we say information tech, we don't just mean your computer, like any electronic device that have the capability of creating, storing or retrieving information or data or information of any kind. Okay, we categorize them under telecommunication. Okay, so it's the process of creating, okay, processing, storing, retrieving, and exchanging all kind of data, specifically electronic data and information. Okay, so that is just it. When we talk about information, that is to say, uh, in any form that we are dealing with it, as long as we are dealing with data, as long as we are dealing with the computer or computing devices, okay, in handling data, and data can be all over the places around us, in everything we do, like businesses, let's just say everything, virtually everything we do with data. So when we use a computer or computing devices to manage such kind of data information, okay, we're simply practicing information technology, okay. But in this particular context, when we're talking about professionally, okay, now, we're talking about business related or organization data. That is to say, when we use computers or telecommunication devices to manage business or organizational data, okay, so that is the major context of information technology when we're talking about professionally and in career wise. Okay, I'm going to what we're going to look at next is the benefits of information technology. Why information technology? Okay. Now, the first thing first is this: we are all students, IT students, okay? Because most of us we know that when you are into discipline like computer science, which majority of us are in, we'll talk about information management technology, which is also a particular department in some institution. They will talk about mechatronics, we'll talk about electronic engineering. All of them are disciplines or courses that are relating to information technology. Okay. So now, as students, one of the benefits of it is that since we are students, these are the things that we are going to meet tomorrow in our everyday life as long as we are IT students. So it is very, very wise that we study information technology so that we will not deviate from what we are meant to do tomorrow as graduates of our various courses or disciplines. Okay, for instance, now I know a lot of people that graduated as computer science students, but at the end of the day, most of them will go for tailoring, and most of them will go for other vocational skills that are not related to this course they studied in school. Okay, and from my own opinion, it is very, very necessary for you as a student to know the end point, that is after the period of your studying, being it maybe just your ND, maybe 2 years, or being it your higher national diploma, or if you are doing BSc, at the end of the day, you should be able to pick something. You should be able to pick something from that your course of study. Okay.
Ali Madivisi.
Hello, are we together?
Yeah, we're together, sir.
Yes, we're
Okay.
together.
Okay. So you should be able to pick something from that your course of study and make use of it as a professional in that field. Okay. That is why it is very critical when we talk about students that graduated from a particular department but they have nothing to show for it. Okay. And I believe one of the essence of this tech community is to kind of guide us in such a way that when we finish our studies in school, okay, we can be able to say, okay, this is something we also have in our hand, and it's relating to what we study. I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk more about, as like I said earlier on, that I'm going to base my speech on the context from the perspective of students majorly, because I believe we all, if not all of us, majority of us here are students. Okay. So as IT student, what I'm trying to say now is as IT student, it is very, very important you study information technology. Okay, because it's going to help you in in any area you find yourself tomorrow, as long as it's related to IT. Okay, that is one. Then the second point there is that uh, when you are into IT, okay, now you find out that IT is involve continuous learning, okay, continuous learning because it is a discipline. IT in general is a discipline that, as the day goes by, there are lots of innovations that are coming up, a lot of innovations in different aspects of IT. Different aspects of IT that some of them we're going to look at later on. Okay. Now, this innovation will give you, as an IT personnel, this opportunity to always continue to learn. That is, you never stop learning. And you know, learning in a continuous pattern like that, when you are consistent with learning, as long as you're not learning just one particular thing, okay, you find out that you become more knowledgeable, and at a point you become a professional in what you're doing. Okay, then apart from that, it gives you this edge over a lot of other discipline. We're still going to talk about that because that one is the next point. Okay, for the next point, which is the third point there, IT is one of the fastest growing sector in the world today. Okay, fastest growing sector. That is to say, when we talk about all the sectors as regards as jobs, regards to jobs, organization, businesses, governments, just name it, IT is involved in one or two or operations in different sectors. So because of that now, IT is one of, like, some people normally term it the oil of today. That is, when we're talking about crude oil, the crude oil of today. Okay, so it will be beneficial to you as a student to engross yourself in IT because of this singular fact. Because as it's growing, it's becoming more lucrative, and it will give you an edge in terms of both finances and good living. Okay, so that is just it. And it cuts across multiple disciplines, like I said. I mentioned some of the disciplines, like I said, yeah, government agencies, we'll talk about health sectors, we'll talk about banking sectors, just to name it. Okay, so because of the demand is high. Okay, that is the fourth point there. It's always on demand. Okay, so since it's always on demand, with that particular phrase now, always on demand, you know that, okay, there are going to be career opportunities, like job opportunities. Okay, I think that's my last point there. Okay, because it's always on demand, there are job opportunity, because they always need the services of an IT person. Okay, then another thing again that IT will give you is to give you the leverage, or if to leverage time for you. That is time and flexibility. Okay, flexible work style. Okay, like if you into IT, okay, whether you are working under an organization or you are a freelancer, because freelancing is another benefit that IT gave to us. Okay, that is, you can work at your own comfort. Okay, now, even if you are working as a freelancer or you're working under an organization, okay, now IT will give you this flexibility. That is to say, you work irrespective of maybe physical location or the environment. Okay, take for instance, let's say I'm working in a particular organization, and maybe something happened, like, okay, let's use the situation of the East now, when we talk about Mondays we sit at home. Now, if there is a pressing job in your organization where you work, and you see that Monday you cannot go to work, it is very, very possible for you to work from home, as long as you have your tools. Okay, so that is how flexible it is. So when I talk about flexibility, it's not just when we say, okay, you are working at your own leisure, but also even if you're working under somebody, okay, it's also flexible, though flexible to an extent, okay, depending on your working environment. Okay, so I've talked about career opportunity, that's the jobs opportunity for. So the last point here now will be good earning and financial benefits. Okay, financial benefits. Financial benefits in the sense that when we talk about it, like I mentioned before, the crude oil of today. Now, IT is one of the discipline, or let's say the areas that someone working under that field can earn good money. Okay. Now, when I talk about good money, that's financial benefits. Uh, I know it's a lot of quotes. Maybe when you're making your own research, sometimes you say, okay, if I'm working under any IT firm, or maybe working under, I'm working in any discipline, IT discipline. Okay. Now, sometimes they'll say the average salary is maybe 500,000 or 700,000, or sometimes in some places you see it's 1 point something million. Hope we're together, please. Are we still together? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hearing you.
Now, the reason why I want to really throw more emphasis on this, yeah.
Yes, we're still together, sir. Continue.
Okay. Now, the essence of this meeting is just to guide us in some of our thoughts, the ways we think. Okay. Now, when we say IT is lucrative, and yes, it's possible for you to earn that a large amount of money, but let's be realistic. In
It's
Nigeria,
not easy.
okay, in Nigeria, we all are in Nigeria here, and in Nigeria, it is very, very difficult to earn some of the amount of money that you see when you're making your research on the salaries, or the time, sorry, the range of money they pay in IT. Okay. Now, let me use software engineering as a good example. Now, in software engineering, if we are to rate the average salary, okay, if we are to rate average salary for software engineering, it will be around 200 to 250,000. Okay, 200 to 250,000, and that 200 to 250,000 is based on if you are an IT professional. Okay, now why I'm bringing this now is, yes, considering the condition of environment, the nation as it is, if you're earning that amount of money monthly, is a good pay. Okay. Now, the emphasis on this payment issue is because a lot of us, especially the young ones, we think because there is a good pay in IT, which there is, okay, like I said, if you are earning that kind of money in this our current economy, I think it's not that bad. Okay, when we say average, that means there are people that are earning more than that. There are people that actually earn up to 600 to a million. Of course, there are. Okay. Mhm. But the thing is this: if you are someone that wants to start a career in IT, think of the financial aspect of it. Sometimes when you're not getting the financial benefits the way you envisaged, okay, it might make you lose interest in pursuing your dream in IT. Okay. Now, the reason why I said that is like, I'm a teacher. A lot of people have learnt under me before now, and a lot of people that fall out of the IT profession to go and do other things are actually the people that thought that when they just learn it for just a few period of time, they'll start earning big. Okay. Now, after now, you still make your own research, possibly make ask questions from, I just confirm from some of the people that you might know that are working in a good firm. They'll tell you that some of them, it took them years to ascertain the position where they are today. Okay, so in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is this: even though yes, IT pays a lot, it should not be a criteria why you uh, 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 try to go into any of the IT career just like that. Yes, it's a criteria, but it should not be the optimal criteria. Let me put it that way, because yes, the financial aspect is very, very necessary. Okay, but it should not be an optimal criteria. Okay, because there are a lot of things, there are a lot of challenges too in any of the field that you want to venture into. You should also have that in mind. Okay, so it takes determination, consistency, okay, and availability of resources, because there are some of the career that we're going to look at that the resources are not really that much. Okay, let me just leave that for later, because we'll still have those one in mind. So those are the benefits. Let me wrap up the benefits just like that. Okay, okay, there's no way you're going to have class inside the WhatsApp group. So there should be meetings like this. Okay, not just this is just the first one. There should be meetings like this. Okay, now the truth is meetings like this will only also enlighten you towards some things. Meetings like this will only enlighten you to, they are not actually going to give you the totality of what you need in that particular skill. So what I'm trying to say is you must find a means of learning it, not just relying on meeting like this. Okay. Now, apart from okay, like this kind of meeting now, we have other like your for the past how many days now, I've been seeing updates on Google Student Developers Club, this GD whatever. Okay, I saw like two meet. I think there's another meeting that is coming up tomorrow. Now, those are the kind of thing as a student. Those are the kind of uh, 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 group that you should join. Okay, when you join them, when they have such meetings like that, you always attend them, and all those things will enlighten you to a certain level, that when you are studying, when you are practicing, you have this better understanding. Okay, now let me put an instance to you now. For instance, from my experience so far, there are people in programming. Okay, let me just use web development for instance. Okay, I've taught people that have not done web development before, but they became professional because of the fact that even before they start learning, okay, they've used the web and understood exactly how the web works. Okay, now there are some people also that I've also taught that don't know how the web work before. Okay, but when they started learning, they understood how the web worked, and they also became professional. Why there are other groups that they don't know how the web work at all before, but as they start learning in one place or the other, they fell out of the picture, because it is very, very difficult for them to comprehend how the web work and to create application that work on the web. Okay, now what I'm trying to say is that if you understand that domain very well, that is why I said first of all you gather information. You understand that domain very well. When you are dealing with anything concerning that domain, it will be easier for you. It will be more enthusiastic for you. That is, you have this passion. You have more passion. You derive more passion on working on that particular career, as long as you already have an idea on how that domain is. Okay, so it's very, very important, and some of the things that will give you that opportunity to have ideas on a lot of different things are these groups these professionals I'm talking about now. Okay, so when you stay with people that are already professionals, or when you join groups, student groups, tech groups, not just this FPNO tech, anything tech at all, you should try to be part of it. Okay, so those meetings, the uh, topics they are going to bring, in one way or the other, will be enlightening you more on the different things you need to know, and with that you can go. Okay, so when you've done this, then you should be ready to apply for jobs and start working. Okay, so because if you've worked for a very good number of if you've worked a good number of projects in a different career aspects that you go into, or you've worked with different projects, okay, because you might not be working on a project, you work with people on projects too. Okay, you can start working. I think so. So that is just it. So all these things are things that you need to first of all put in place before you choose an IT career. Okay, this is just the step as you have to consider this in choosing IT career and how you go about to us. Okay, so that is it. Then you must have a good communication skills. This is also very, very important. Okay, because in any uh, in any career you find yourself in IT, not just in IT, any career at all, okay, you must be able to communicate effectively, whether with the people you're working with or the clients that you'll be serving. Okay, so without good communication skills, I think you you might okay, let me just say you get it wrong without good communication skill, because in one way or the other you must communicate. Okay, then another thing again is you should always pay attention to details. Pay attention to details. Now what I mean pay attention to details, sometimes in any field you find yourself, sometimes you okay, let's just put it this way. When we talk about IT, we are working with data and information. Okay, so and sometimes when we talk about information, that information have, if we're to talk about MIS for instance, which is also a field in IT, management information system. Okay, now there is a rule in MIS that information is not really information when it does not have the characteristics of our information, and one of the characteristics is timeliness. Okay, that is to say information is supposed to get to a particular uh, 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 let's say a person or whatever it's meant for, should be able to reach its destination. Okay, now when that information did not get to where it's supposed to get to at the right time, okay, it's not really a good information. Okay, so and one of the things that will help and getting information to the right destination at the right time is paying attention to details. That is to say, trying to know every details of the information when it's needed and how it can be given. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about all these things, I'm talking generally on IT. So I'm not really specific to a particular aspect of IT now. Okay. Then you must also have listening skills. Okay, now why I said I'm not really based on a particular aspect of IT now is because now some of all these things I'm mentioning, they are more pronounced in some uh, IT aspects, okay, than others. Okay, now in some cases you might not really see these things play out. Okay, but in some cases you see that they are very, very relevant. For instance, when we talk about listening skills now, for instance, okay, now the listening skills, let's just pick UI UX designer for example. as a UI UX designer, as a UI UX designer, in one way or the other, you'll be given relevant information. Okay. Now, because when we talk about UI UX is part of the planning stage of software engineering. Okay. Now, the planning stage, now a UI UX designer is one of the person that will first of all tell how the application will look like. Okay. So if you are UI UX designer and maybe you met a client and the client is now giving you details of how uh, an application that or a project or software or any system that you want to build for the client. Okay. Now, when you don't have that good listening skill, you might miss some details. Okay. That is to say, listening skill also will affect the way you pay attention to some of all these details. The other thing again is that you have to be patient. Patience is a very relevant thing too in IT, in the sense that sometimes when we deal with time, it's not really as we envisage. Let's put it in a software context also. For instance, now let's say you are building a software and there is a particular, okay, let me not put it that way. Let me put it in programming, because programming is just like the basic thing all of us do for now. Okay, now let me put it in programming. Now, a lot of people that don't have patience are the people that give up on programming. Okay, now why I'm saying that is from my experience so far. I've also dealt with students that when an error occur in their program, they feel disappointed and they don't have that patience to now start debugging. Okay, so with that now you see that some people will lose interest, because when you write a little program, you have error, you say, okay, please help me do this. Maybe they helped you solve the problem, and maybe another error comes up. Say, oh, which kind of error be this now? Before you know, before you do that, like 1 week, some people will just give up. Okay, speaking from experience, now I've seen people like that. Okay, now that is just an example. Now there are other aspects of IT that requires that patience also. Okay, require that patience also. For instance, like sometimes the time you specify to, especially management now, for instance, project management, a discipline in IT that have to do with the totality of the project from beginning to end. Okay. Now, project management are the people that equate quality of a project with time. Okay. Now, sometimes they need this kind of skill to accommodate everybody that are working under them. Okay. So that's one. Sometimes you have a lot of issue that may come up. If you don't have that patience to diligently deal with such issues, you might go out of track. Okay. Then also analytical skills. You should be able to analyze anything that comes before you. You should be able to analyze it very well. Okay. So when you analyze very well, then your problem solving skills too will be sharpened from your analytical skills, because when you analyze a situation, it will be easier for you to solve the problems. Okay. Then lastly, the ability to gather and interpret information. You should be able to gather and interpret information as much as you can. Okay, so these are some of the things, these are the requirements as regards to what we need. General requirements, because like I said earlier, each of these career aspects in IT also have their various requirements. Okay, so anyone you want to venture into, you should first of all try to check that specific requirements that are required there too. Okay, adding to this general requirement, because as an IT personnel, you should have these general requirements, then have the requirements in that particular aspect you choose. Okay, so that is it for information technology, how you can choose an IT career, and the general requirement for working in IT related IT field rather. Sorry, working in IT field. Okay, so I think at this auction, I would first of all try to hear if there's any question before I okay before I proceed to the next the careers, the various careers in IT. If there's any question, please let's just entertain some questions first. Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are with you. We are with you. Yeah.
Okay. So if there is no question, in the absence of no question, we have to proceed. Someone wants to ask a question?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, all.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Okay.
I'm Olupat.
Okay, Olu, what's up? I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hardware maintenance, seen as a career path.
Is there?
Did you get that?
I didn't get you.
I said, can computer hardware maintenance seen as a career path in tech?
Yes, of course. It is.
Okay.
It is because there are organizations that will just put you in that. There are organizations that have that department. Okay, there are
Okay.
organizations that have that
Okay.
department. So sometimes you if you apply to such kind of organization, you just put in that
Okay.
department and you work and be earning your money too. Okay,
Okay.
then apart from that, most times it's not really advisable to just do computer maintenance without your knowledge of networking. That's computer networking because they go hand in hand. Okay, so
Yeah.
it will be better, or you'll be at a better position when you have both knowledge together. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So that is it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So please, any other question before I continue? Okay. So now moving forward, we're going to talk about some various careers in IT. Okay. And thank you, Olu, for mentioning that. Okay. I didn't actually include it here. Like I said earlier when I started, that I just picked some of the popular ones that I remembered, okay, but there are a lot of others that are not here, okay. So, picking IT career, okay, there are numerous career in IT, okay, like I said here, and the lists below are just few of them, okay. Now we talk about office management technology, we talk about robotics and artificial intelligence, we talk about now some of all these things I grouped them, but they are actually different concepts on their own, okay. Why I grouped them is because they are kind of related but different concepts entirely. Like robotics and artificial intelligence are two different things, okay? But it's just that they are kind of related. That is why I grouped them, okay? Content writing, content management systems, blogging, digital marketing are different things entirely, okay? Just that they are related. That is why I grouped them, okay? Same thing applies to project management, okay? Data and information science, graphics and UI UX designs. Then we have the Web3 and blockchain technology. Also, we have software engineering. Okay. Now, okay. The first one I want to talk about, I didn't really, just pardon me, I didn't really, like I said when I started, I didn't really have the liberty of time to put the whole things the way I should have. Okay. So I'll just try to explain this. It's not really comprehensive. Okay. But I'll just do explanation as I can. Okay, so office management technology. Now, in this context, when we talk about office management technology, OTM, okay, okay, in this context now it's OMT. uh, Most times we see it as just an administrative discipline, okay, an administrative discipline. But in this context I'm talking about here now, is not just the administrative aspect of it. Okay. Like I say, it's a discipline designed to prepare students or individuals in administrative knowledge, okay, and at the same time to be proficient in major computer applications such as word processing applications, electronic presentations, spreadsheets, database application, desktop publishing, and the rest. Okay. Now, throwing more light on this OTM, sorry, OMT in my own case here now. Okay, now it is a very, very important part, especially for those of us that might find some of all these other careers in IT very, very tasking. Okay. Now, I made mention of something when I started. I said some of our computer science graduates today, most of them are into tailoring. Most of them are into other disciplines that are not even related to the course they studied. Okay. Now, the reason is because some of them find some of these parts very, very tasking. Okay. And another thing again is you as a student or someone that wants to practice, you should not just look at your neighbor. Okay, I'm supposed to talk about this in the previous section. Okay, but let me just put it. Let me just now that it came to my mind. Let me just chip it in. Okay, you should not look your neighbor while choosing a career. Okay. Now, sometimes, yes, I said you make a research on those particular career, but don't use the basis of okay because this person is doing it. Let me try and do it. It is very, 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 very wrong because the first thing you check yourself. Okay. Now, everybody is saying okay, programming is a programming. Programming is not meant for everybody. Everybody are not meant to program. You understand? The only thing, like I said, you just have the basic knowledge of how programming is. Okay. So apart from programming, you should also understand the computer, the entire structure of the computer, the component of the computer, the hardware, the software, and just like we mentioned before. Okay, those are basic things. Okay, now sometimes you see this person. Let's say this person is let's say a software developer and is earning 300,000. And you say, that that person is earning 300,000. That means I must go and be a software developer. Now, your level of knowledge and that person level of knowledge might not really be the same. The level of comprehension, I mean. Okay, and also exposure matter, like the example I gave before. Someone that already have an idea, even though the person is not into it, that is, let's say the person is not into developing, but already have an idea of how that domain work and application, how application work, how internet work, how software work. That person will find it easier to comprehend the learning more than you that is a total novice. Okay, so because of that, now, as someone that is a newbie in IT, you should first of all check yourself very well. Check yourself if you can do that same thing that person is doing. Okay, like a lot of people will say, this thing is trending, so this thing is giving money. Let me just put my head into it. No, it's not supposed to be like that. Check yourself very well. Okay. Now, why I remember that why I brought it to this section now is because of this particular career that we have before us here. This is one of the simplest parts of IT that you can engage yourself in. Okay. Now, this part also involved the use of the basic applications for different aspects of management, okay, and administrative purposes. For instance, in most organizations, okay, they require your knowledge in spreadsheets to be able to use spreadsheets to do basic data analysis. At the same time, presentation, present data, okay, manage data. So these are just basic, just like okay, like when we talk about the word processing now. Word processing is something, okay, like your Microsoft Word is one of the basic things. Even as a computer science student, you should have those knowledge. Okay, believe me, it might sound embarrassing, but there are some graduates from computer science or any other IT related course that cannot even operate or do anything on Microsoft Word, which is very, very bad. Okay, so that is just it. Now, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is this is a particular aspect of IT that is also very, very useful. Now, I said something about other sectors. Now, this part, this office management technology, is one of the parts that when we're talking about cutting across other sector, this is one of the things that is actually needed because okay, let's put for instance the banking sector now. Even if we're not talking about the IT group in the bank that deals with the network administration or the software that the bank use, we have people that are into data analysis in the bank that uses spreadsheets and other applications like your Tableau or what have you. Okay, your Sage 3, your Page 3, and the rest. Some of these applications that are very powerful for data analysis. Okay, so this particular career is something that is very, 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 very needed if you don't want to stress your head in doing programming or in doing any of these IT career that is very, very tasking. Just make sure you know how to use these basic applications that are used for office management and administrative purpose very, very well. Make sure you are good at them, be very, very proficient in them, and believe me, you will get a job anyhow, anywhere at all that an opportunity comes up like that. You simply grab it. And most people, most organization needs those skills. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so now the next one, uh, robotics. Okay, now this part is one of the parts that is also not really very strong in Nigeria yet, at least to my knowledge. Okay, but this is another part of IT that have a very good future. Okay, now the reason why I would say it's not very uh, uh, popular in Nigeria yet is because especially in the context of robotics engineering. Okay, now the cost of studying robotics is high. The cost of studying robotics is high, and if you remember, in the previous session, I said something about limited resources. Okay, now sometimes some of the things you need to actually do robotics to a professional level, they are not within. So you have to go extra miles, try to import some of those tools into Nigeria. Okay, I have one of my students that is into robotic engineer. Okay, what he does is he has friends in Germany and all over the place, that whenever I need something that you know that he cannot get from a Nigerian market, he simply make an order and they bring that thing for him. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why it is not yet, but with time, it is something that a lot of people are also going to venture into. Okay, okay, so when we talk about robotic engineering, it's a field of engineering which centers on building machine that can replicate human actions. Okay, machine that can replicate human action. That means they will have to do same thing that a human would do. Okay, so a robotic engineer will create these applications or autonomous machines for industries such as mining, manufacturing, automotive, service, and more. Okay, so whenever we talk about building machines that will do the same thing human will do, that is robotic engineering. Okay, now artificial intelligence, on the other hand, is intelligence demonstrated by machine. Okay, now it is a theory and development of computer system that are able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence. Okay, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and others. Okay, now before I started, I said something like there are two different contexts, two different things entirely, but related. Now, when we talk about robotics, now we said robotics building machine to replicate human action. Now, how will this machine replicate human actions? Is by writing programs, okay, that can help perform these human actions. Okay, that is where artificial intelligence now comes in. Okay, so you see that the concepts are related, even though they are two different things. They are kind of related because they let's just say artificial intelligence is what drives robotics engineering. Okay, so artificial intelligence is what drives robotic engineering. Okay, so this is um, uh, for robotics and artificial intelligence. Okay, then the next thing is we have project management system analysis. Okay, now these are two different things also, but they are also related. Okay, now when we talk about project management is a process of leading the work of a team to achieve all project goals within a given constraints. Now, this project management is a very tasking uh, career in IT, and at the same time it is very lucrative in terms of the financial benefits. Okay, now what a project manager would do is this: when you find yourself in an organization setting and you are your organization, let's put it that way, your organization are required to handle some projects. Okay, now as a project manager, you will be the one to oversee the entire process that is involved in uh, 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 embarking on that project from the beginning of the project till the end. That is to say, as a project manager, you'll be the one to guide everybody that will be working on the project. You'll be the one to set the goals and on how the project will be worked on and how the project goals will be achieved. You'll be the one to manage the um, what do I call it? The performance of the project. Okay, you'll be the one to manage how good the quality assurance of that particular project. At the same time, you'll be the one to manage the time constraint involved in delivering that particular project. So you can see how tasking it is when we talk about project management. Okay, sorry, uh my battery is low, so I'll try as much as possible to round up this. Okay, so that is the work of a project manager. So as a project manager, you have a lot of things to do from the beginning of a project to the ending of a project. We have taken, for instance, let's just say software, let's just say application. Let's say we want to design an application for a client as an organization. It is the duty of the project manager to assign the people that are going to work on the project. It's the duty of the manager to share tasks among everybody that will be working on the project. It's the duty of the project manager, to set the time that the project is going to be complete, and the duty of the project manager to manage the project as it's being done, how if the project will meet its requirements. So that is just it. Now, system analysis, on the other hand, is the process of observing systems for troubleshooting or development processes. Okay, it's applied to information technology where computer-based systems require defined analysis according to their makeup and designs. Okay, now in a nutshell, what that is saying is this: any system, okay, that is being worked on, okay, let's say relating it to project management now, the system in this context now, let's just say a project we're working on. Okay, okay, now uh, a system analyst would observe everything that the project is all about. Okay, then observing it in the aspect of the possible problems that can come up in that particular system as you're working on it. Okay, now how we can troubleshoot those problems, like in during system analysis, that's where you have, let's say, for a software content, that's where you have a software development cycle, that's where you have feasibility studies to check the different feasibility aspects of a system, if it's economically feasible, if it's technological feasible, legally, or operational and stuff like that. Okay, so as a system analyst, you're the one that check the entire system to observe if the system have will have issue, or if it have issue or will have issue tomorrow. Okay, now you'll be the one to bring the troubleshooting plans and everything that have to make the system work and be useful. Okay, that is the work of a system analyst. So the relation between the two now is this: most times a project manager is usually a system analyst, because as a manager, apart from managing the work process, the people that work, on the particular projects, whatever. Okay, you also be the one to observe the particular system and also know if there are issues or there are issues that can come up as the system is being worked on. Okay, so then the next thing is data science. Is another field that is very very popular these days. Okay, now when we talk about data science, sometimes term data and information science. Okay, it is the domain that studies data. Okay, a vast volume of data using modern tools and technique to find unseen pattern. Okay, unseen pattern, then derive meaningful information and make business decision. Let me use for example, we have logists, people that studies weather. Okay, now how are they able to predict a weather condition? Okay, now what they normally do is they simply analyze data, and most of these data are data that are already available, maybe from previous situations. Okay, that is, as a data analyst, the major work of a data analyst is this: when you are presented with a large amount of data, you can use that a large amount of data to uh, make decision, future decision, okay, based on those data that are given to you. That means you can study the pattern, how those data are coming in. Now, for example, now let's take for instance in a an electronic market. Okay, an electronic market for instance. Now sometimes you'll be presented with something, an app like, let's say, Jumia or something like that. Okay, so when you create an app like that, now when users are making orders, they are buying some certain products. All these things are being stored in database. Now, when you provide such kind of data to a data analyst, for instance, a data analyst should be able to study those data and can predict to you that, okay, you see this particular a particular product now. Okay, you see this particular product now. This product will be able to see the limelight tomorrow on. This product is will be able to fall out of the market or something like that. Let me use a popular example. Today now, everybody are craving programming language. Okay, everybody are craving the knowledge of Python. Python. Okay, knowledge of Python. Why? Why are they craving the knowledge of Python? Because data analysts have seen that from data that I've given, because most times it's so unfortunate that I might not be able to get to that point. I would have given you, okay, maybe later I'll share a link from different surveys. Okay. Now what they do is they'll take surveys from different people, irrespective, sorry, pertaining to some certain questions. Okay, that is the responses from a lot of people. Now they will now put all those responses together, and they will analyze them and use them to know that, okay, you see this particular thing and has a future, and that is how we know that, okay, most of these programs, because if you check the work domain, the places like something like Python, I was making an example with Python now. Python is a multi-purpose programming language. And since it's a multi-purpose programming language now, a lot of people are not even looking at the strength of Python in some areas. Okay, they are not looking at that. Some people just, okay, because Python is in this area, Python is in this area, they have powerful tools, they have a lot of libraries. All these things are things that you put together. When you put all of them together, you look at the market today, you look at the demand today, and you look at, okay, the demand is going to be like this tomorrow. Okay, if the demand is like this tomorrow, that means this programming language is actually going to serve that demand tomorrow. That is the work of a data analyst or a data scientist. Okay, so that is another field that is very very common today and is very very lucrative as well. in IT generally. Okay, so the next one is graphics and UI UX designs. Okay, now these are also different concepts. Okay, but I like talking about. Some people will say UI UX is not really graphics, but in my opinion, I see all of them as graphics. I'll tell you why. So now, when we talk about graphics in the first place, when we say graphics, graphics simply it refers to any visual representation of data and includes a varieties of form. Okay, any visual representation of data. When you try to represent data in any visual form, you're simply doing graphics. Okay. Now, in my own terms, I like using this word that when you talk about graphics, graphics is just a means of sharing information using different medium, which includes drawing, text, pictures, images, videos, and the rest. Okay, that is why video, when we talk about video making, they are part of graphics. Okay, uh so it can be line art, can be graph, can be diagrams, can be symbols, can be maps. All of them are graphics. Okay, so that is just it. So the major aim of graphics is to portray information to a group of people, okay, or a subject domain. Okay, so now what we'll talk about in, if we are narrowing it down to computer graphics simply the act of using the computer to create these graphics. It's as simple as that. Okay, the act of using the computer to create this graph. That means if I use the computer to create anything that is graphics that is meant to portray a visual representation of any kind of data, I'm simply doing graphics. That is why we have computer aided designs, like computer aided design like your ArchiCAD, your AutoCAD. Even though they are engineering drawing, they are also forms of graphics. Okay, so this is where my slide end, but I will also talk about the other this thing now. Talking about UI UX design. Okay, now when we talk about UI UX is simply another discipline. Okay, but majorly it's biased to is mostly biased to software engineering. Okay, now UI UX design is a process of creating a picture representation of a software or an application. Let me put it that way. Okay, a pictorial representation of application at the same time mimicking all the all the functionalities of the application. Okay, now let me break it down. When we talk about UI is simply a short form of user interface. Now, when we talk about user interface are simply the interface within your application that the user sees or interacts with. Okay, when we talk about interface is just like an intermediary between two layers. Okay, so user interface, that means user interface with your application through the